the same person from before.
Hey everyone, it's me again. It's good to see everyone. I hope you're going to enjoy this show, but it's going to be magical. And just for a start, let me give you a little trick. See? And there's nothing in my hat, right? There's nothing inside of my hat, right, sir?
Nope.
Well then, I'm going to change that. Now then, what were those magical words again? I think it was hoppity, hoppity, bibbity, blue, hocus, pocus.
Was it hockety pockety?
No. But close enough. Oh, right, of course. It was bibbity, bobbity, achoo! Well, let's hope it works. Because I'm going to pull a rabbit out of this hat. Hang on with you. Hey, come on. Hey, I told you. Come on. And then don't you even dare try to disgrace me here, you know. I'll give you an extra pile of carrots if you come out. Whoop! Carrots? Why didn't you say so? Here I am. Carrots get them every time.
And today is we're reviewing.
Last stop. Louis, I'm your Uncle Jonathan.
Are you wearing a robe?
It's a kimono. Here we are. Home sweet home.
You're Louis, I presume. How was your trip?
This old hag is my neighbor.
I'm relieved to see you didn't inherit your uncle's freakishly oversized head.
My God, did that withered purple skeleton just speak? You'll see, it's quite different here. Have a look around. You're perfectly safe.
That's safe.
As long as it's fed. Do you know what a warlock is, Louis?
A boy witch.
I think they're a little more than boy witches.
Are you saying that you're a warlock? Please teach me, please.
Okay, have it your way. I can give you the right books, teach you the right spells, but that last one for Staab, that's up to you.
I don't want the creepy little runt. Think I want it? Lucky shot.
You told Louis everything?
Well, not everything. This house used to be owned by another warlock.
He's very wicked. Very powerful.
He left a hidden clock in the walls. We don't know what it does, except something horrible. 3 gongs. Last time it was 4. What happens when it gets down to 1?
Nothing good, that's for certain.
We have to destroy the clock. So creepy.
You can't do this alone. I can help you. You want to see some real magic? I'll show you.
Shall we?
God, you punkish.
Did you see that?
The house with the clock in the wall.
Huh? What clock? I don't hear anything. Now it's not this house. It's another house. Oh. Okay.
Anyway, it starts off with a boy named Louis.
Who pretty much lived inside of an orphanage. Poor kid. Lost his parents inside of an accident.
Then his uncle shows up named
Well, I guess we can just...
Uncle Jonathan.
Oh yeah, that was him. Uncle Jonathan.
Fortunately, he's a warlock.
A good one.
By the guy who plays Jack Black.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Well, pretty much then when they went to the house, it looked like it was barely even holding together. And I mean, the house looked like it almost happened to look like the haunted mansion from the Disney World movies Little Brother. It was that rickety.
And let's say this movie has a little bit of the bumps.
Yeah, goosebumps.
Continue.
Indeed. But except once they got in there, everything looked like it was normal, except for maybe all the clocks on the wall. I mean, seriously, I don't think my head could take all of that. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Jeez, let there's something. Poor Captain Hook, he'll have a field days out of that house.
And,
I hear that.
And there's this other person.
Who happens to be the next door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And he happens to be a good witch.
Yep.
Yep. And let's just say pretty much in her and pretty much the uncle, they always bicker.
Yeah, bicker. But they have a good laugh at it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. And everything seemed to be okay until night came.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when things get kind of strange around the house. For an example, and then when our young hero went outside to pick up the hall, he thought he heard a noise, and then that's when he and saw his an uncle listening to something within the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought the guy was always a bit cuckoo. A cuckoo clock.
And when he heard those noises, it comes with those. If you hear like charmings, and the charms are not so good.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. But then that's when he started his first day at school.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, he was pretty much the outcast besides the kid in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone was always picking on him, and he felt sorry for pretty much the kids instead of pretty much the cast. So then he hanged out with him.
Mm-hmm. Then he wanted to know about all this magic stuff. His Uncle Jonathan wants to teach him all about magic.
Yes, but not everything, just some of the basics. But except that's when pretty much our young orphan happened to mention about in the house, and it turned out the house had some history to it.
It did.
It was apparently called the slaughterhouse because then apparently pretty much the last owner went a bit crazy and took an axe to his wife
Mm-hmm.
and hid the body somewhere, and no one couldn't find the body nor pretty much the husband. It was as if he just up and vanished like magic.
Exactly.
Yep. And pretty much the uncle took him to pretty much the garden and told him about then how then he was and pretty much happened to told him about all of the magic stuff, and we saw a few charms here and there.
Even there's a tiger made out of bushes.
It's actually more like a what was it again, Jess? I think you're thinking about a chimera. It's or at least a sphinx or something like that. It was because of it was part lion because of the body, but except it had the wings of an eagle. But except it couldn't fly. But boy, can it stink!
Oh boy, that scene was crazy.
What in the? I mean, seriously, what in the pond? Seriously, dead leaves, twigs, all over the place, stinking up the joint.
Uh, Back to the story.
Yeah, pretty much. But then that's when the uncle took him to the library. And then Phyllis told him about then how then he was a warlock, and about then all of the charms and incantations meant to then fight against evil and get rid of evil spirits and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But except he also happened to show him to never, ever, ever,
And I mean, ever.
or or as Pinkie Pie then would say, forever, never open up this special cupboard which has a silver lock on it and has charms up the wazoo to keep it safe. It's because apparently there's some kind of a special book who was used by a dark warlock who is now buried. Because apparently he died because of that spell took a number out of him.
Even this warlock will play a special part in the movie.
Much later on, of course, mind you.
Yes.
Much later on. But except that's when Timothy Uncle happened to give then our main character some books. And I mean enough books to make Twilight start drooling, saying, I'm up for the challenge, get out of my way, I'm pulling an all-nighter.
Even Twilight would like the library.
Like it? Like it? Are you kidding me? She would pretty much, she would then drop dead like, ready? Eat your heart out.
So as Lewis reads these books all about magic.
And he happens to get a hold of some of the basics. For an example. But except that not before learning about the house is pretty much alive. It's because of pretty much the stained glass window on top of pretty much the middle part, pretty much the staircase. It keeps on changing. First, and there was a boat out sailing, and then a cowboy trying to use a lasso, and then later on, well, I ain't gonna say anything yet.
And this house is magical.
In more ways than one, especially pretty much the couch. I mean, seriously, it acts like a flipping dog.
Keep it.
Yes, indeed. Good lad. Good couch. Yeah, good. Yeah, pretty much. As well as pretty much the witch having to step in. Just to put in out her own 2 bits.
Did that old hag speak?
Look who's talking. Yeah. The two are always arguing, but except it's in good fashion. Yep. But except the funniest things happen is when he was then one night, while pretty much he was then asleep, the uncle and the witch next door happened to be talking, and the uncle happened to got a bit overfueled, and he accidentally turned some regular corn on the cob into popcorn, and he said, I'll go grab some butter and some salt. We're gonna need it.
Exactly.
Yep. Sorry, Bob. Yep. But except, yes, indeed. But
even they had something to that hocus pocus about with the salt with the witches.
Yep. Well, yeah, I guess in a way. I guess. But except the best part was pretty much that suit of armor. Oh man, that suit of armor. He just can't get a break. When he tried to then stop the young lad from leaving the house, he accidentally pushed him and clank. Oh, I will do. Thanks a lot, kid.
It was good and funny.
Yep, kind of reminds me of the Haunted Mansion scene about all the armor living life.
And this movie did have similar Haunted Mansion things, but go on.
Yeah, pretty much. But now then comes in the school life. The kid, the one who had the arm cast, he got healed up, it got better, but that's when things got a little bit iffy between him and our main character.
He brings a friend over.
Yep. And he also starts becoming a real jerk, hanging out with his old friends instead of just hanging out with our main man. And they did happen to go over until that then cast guy, he pretty much wanted to open up the forbidden cabinet to get to the book. But except the only thing is, the uncle has to be the only one who has the key. But, except, I don't know how, but except they opened it, and when that happened, that's when they took the book, and then afterwards closed the cabinet before the uncle even knew about it.
Saved.
And then afterwards went to the cemetery to a grave. Just some random guy and all that, you know. And they cast a spell, but it didn't seem to work at first.
Nope. Complete dud.
Yep, in the middle of the night too. And then that's when our main man happened to put the book back into the case before anyone even knew it was even gone. Yep, sure did. Sure did. But then things get a little crazy a bit later on.
And this is where our main
Villain, I guess, comes into play. It's because it turns out that the random guy, the one from the graveyard, he was actually the old warlock. You know, the one who didn't try casting the spell. But as it turns out, before he passed away, he made two things. One, he made a key out of bone. And two, a clock. Which is hidden somewhere within the house, somewhere within the wall. Hence the title of pretty much the movie. The house, the house with a clock in the wall. But excepting while then teaching the orphan a few tricks, he introduced them to a purple snake incident. Yeah, apparently pretty much the witch tried casting a spell to turn her pet snake purple, but except it backfired and made it a flipping giant. And they had to keep it fed. And they had to keep it fed to keep it up here in the closet, or else it'll go crazy.
even the 50% comes down to Jonathan of all that magic.
Yeah, and the neighbor, the one from, as well as him of the neighbor, the one from then across the street, she plays a later role in later.
Exactly.
Yep, it's because that's when things happen to get a bit crazy. Is because once our main man happened to went back to him of the graveyard to have a look at the grave, it was empty.
Oh, Lord, what have you done?
Oh, Lois, what? Oh, Louis, what the devil you done? You're telling me. You're telling me. Well, that's when he tried telling his then friend about it, but except he just slugged him and then told him to keep quiet. What a jerk.
What a jerk.
Hey, remember the kids are watching this. Yeah, but except that's when he got a bit worried, considering since it turned out the clock was on a timer. And it seemed like the clock, it was getting a bit closer than usual. And they still can't seem to find the darn thing. But except that when things go a bit crazy because they managed to find the observatory.
A hidden room.
Yes, sorry. A hidden observatory. Yes, we left a hidden observatory. And they managed to find a map. But except couldn't figure it out.
Nope, they've been puzzling and puzzling.
And they kept on puzzling until all heck broke loose because once the uncle and the witch happened to get word about the warlock came back to life, that's when they decided to put up horseshoes up the wazoo. And pretty much it turns out horseshoes are dang good at protecting you against dark spirits. Go figure. Yeah. And they even had a lot of jack-o'-lanterns. We talk about Halloween coming early. What's next? Jack Skeleton coming out of nowhere?
Even these pumpkins will play a little role into the bit.
And so would pretty much the giant shrubbery cat. Yep. But except that's when the night came. The night when everything was going to go down like crazy. But except that's when things got a little bit fuming because, well, that's when law. Because since that's when our main man had to spill the beans and said he accidentally woke him up. And boy was the uncle fuming.
Lewis felt guilty about it, so he told his uncle what happened.
Yep, and the uncle pretty much blew up. Kind of reminded me of that. Hey, Jess. What's that? How mad was he? Let's see. Maybe. Well, I'm thinking. I think about a tick of his Twilight was because the Hydra uh, was in the doozy. It because just like her, the uncle just calmed down later once he realized it was just a mistake. But except that's when the witch decided to go talk to decided to go talk to our main man and and she pretty much explained everything. For a fact, she actually lost her then husband and daughter inside of pretty much a war.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, it turns out the now alive again warlock plus the uncle used to be partners in magic.
Uncle Jonathan.
And thank you, Uncle Jonathan and pretty much the dead warlock used to be partners inside of magical shows.
Mm-hmm.
Until pretty much the war came up and involved in Uncle Jonathan stayed behind to keep an eye on pretty much the theater and all that. The other one went to war. But except that's when he came back a bit, well, changed. It was as if something changed out of his heart. I say so. Why, then he looked about as dark as anything. And he even got hitched to a bad witch. I mean, seriously. Talk about bad choices, if you ask me. Yeah, but except it turns out, according to what they say, you remember pretty much the bone key I mentioned earlier? According to what they say, it was made out of her bones.
Yeesh.
You're telling me, yeesh. But except that's pretty much the witch and in our main character decided to go back to the house and they just clear things up. And then that's when then Lewis pretty, happened to much happened to pretty much figured out the language. It turned out it was pretty much an old language used inside, actually used inside of a TV show once. And it turns out all you have to do is just have to put some chocolate powder on it, and there you go. It was readable. I mean, seriously? Chocolate powder. Flippin' chocolate powder meant to make chocolate milk was the key to solving it.
Even the pumpkins came to life.
Yes, but except it didn't happen until after pretty much the warlock happened to enter the house. And then afterwards, that's when things went really uphill later. Especially since that's when they found because since that's when, but except once they came back, it turned out the witch who was supposed to be the warlock's his wife, well, it turns out she wasn't even dead. She just disguised herself as pretty much the neighbor from pretty much across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she revealed that then pretty much the key, it was made out of pretty much the neighbor's bones, not hers.
Oh boy.
And they even turn a rat into a flippin' dog. Seriously, a cat into a dog. I need a smoke. Here you go. Hey, this is pretty much a lot to take in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, and Pale with the Pumpkins did happen to come to life, and oh boy, talk about and goosebumps eat your heart out. Yeah, especially since they were in Vomikin
Pumpkin seeds.
and on in trails to try to then stop our three main characters. But except that all they had to do was just had to smash the pumpkin, and there you go.
Even Uncle Jonathan got splattered with pumpkin seeds all over his face.
Poor Uncle Jonathan. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Indeed. But except it was when they got to him up the front door, it's when things got a little crazy. Would you mind fucking grabbing some tobacco? Oh, sure. There you go. And how about a light? Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Now, what am I going to use for a light? Oh, I know.
So anyway, when they got to the house, everything just got all weird and crazy.
Yeah, but except the scariest thing happened at him at the front door because while pretty much Uncle Jonathan was busy trying to find the key to get into trying to get into the house, take a little kid who was sneaking behind the bushes.
That old lion.
That giant grassy pussycat, and oh boy, that took them a miracle, but except they managed to get inside the house, and boy was it a mess. Considering considering since it turns out the poor couch got torn. Oh,
The couch did not have to go end it like that.
I think he survived a bit later on. All that had to be done was just had to patch it up, and there you go. But close enough. Yeah, but except that's when it turned out the clock is actually located in the basement inside a pretty much the furnace. It turned out it was there the whole time.
He was just not looking in the right place.
Yep. But except the scariest thing happened was the dolls.
Oh, buggers.
Yep. Yes, sweet pup. Where's the puppet master? When you need him. Yeah. But so it turned out the puppets happened to get in the way and happened to capture that of the
Lord.
and thank you. And then afterwards, pretty much took him back into the house while then pretty much the uncle and the wits got get out of our house. Trumps.
Yeah, they actually said that in the movie.
Or uh, was it chumps?
I think it was the second part you just said.
Yeah, definitely. But then that's when the witch used just happened to use just happened to use just happened to use just a and then you just happened to use just a magic and actually put the dolls to sleep. I mean, seriously, those dolls were then out like a light. But except once they got into the observatory to have a look to try to find then Lewis, it turned out our warlock and the witch happened to be there waiting for him. While pretty much our orphan was pretty much dangling, dangling from a cage on top of some blades, and the rat was on top about to start then chewing the rope. And if Uncle Jonathan did not give them the key, Siska Bob, anybody?
Yeah.
Yep. But except he gave him the key, all right. But then that's when the witch happened to get. But except, that's when it turned out the warlock explained what happened. It was in fact in during out of World War II, and most of his troops happened to got ambushed by some Germans. While then he got lost inside of him of the Black Forest, which is said to be legendary because the Brothers Grimm mostly found most of their fairy tales within those woods. And it was there when he met his then teacher, a demon, but then no ordinary demon. I personally know this demon because I studied him. He's actually one of the 74 demons of King Solomon's minor key. Can't miss it. Just just look it up. Can't miss it. And then he pretty much agreed to then give the warlock supernatural powers in exchange for his for just a little piece of his soul. It's not that much of a It's not that much of a deal. But except it turned out the warlock's plan was crazy. He was going to use the clock and the key to make time go backwards to the beginning. To try to remake humanity into their image, which was freaking crazy. But except and everything went crazy once they got to the furnace.
This warlock would not stop at nothing to get his revenge.
Yep. Yep, sir, Bob. And they even managed to get to him at the furnace. But except that's when the purple, or should I say, the giant purple snake happened to get out of him at the closet, and then the witch volunteered to keep an eye on him, while then the uncle and our orphan friend went downstairs to go find the clock. But except they found it, but except it was a bit too late. Because pretty much that warlock turned the key and activated the clock, which was actually a lot bigger. Turns out that small clock in front, that was just the starting point. The real clock was underneath of him. And the only safe place for you to not go back in time was inside of him with the tower right above it. Because it's got special magic meant to keep you from aging backwards. And as for what happened to the uncle, oh, he literally got turned to a baby. Well, except for his head. Oh man, I gotta tell you something. Just to quote the nostalgia critic, it looked like the same kind of body Loki did inside of Son of the Mask, and that then Terminator, baby.
Oh man.
And oh god, and oh by the heavens, I just realized something. You remember how pretty much the critic happened to have a heart attack after seeing the Loki and pretty much the Schwarzenegger baby together?
Yeah.
Well, then just imagine seeing all three of them. The uncle, Loki, and the Terminator baby, all three of them together in one picture. You even have to go to the hospital.
That baby scene was crazy and weird.
Yeah, yes, Bob. Especially when he had to. I'm not gonna say the editing because the kids might be watching, but I think you know.
Well, you can feel in a little beats.
Well, let's just say the fountain was working.
Oh. If you know what we're talking about.
And let's hope you do, because trust me in this, I do not want to get into any trouble with you two, okay? But yeah, pretty much. But except that's when he then tried to figure out a way to stop it until he remembered the 8 ball his then mother and father gave it. And, well, he threw it down to the gears, and when the 8 ball broke, it turned out that small dice, the one that has all the answers to it, it actually stopped the gears,
Mm-hmm.
and thereby then stopping the clock. And then that's when pretty much the warlock and the witch came downstairs to have a look, and they tried to then happen to get the clock working again, but then that's when pretty much our orphan used just a little bit of some lightning and went flipping Zeus on them, and zap, and and by the time they made it down to the gears, they stopped existing in general because the magic put them back to nothingness.
Then Uncle Loris, yeah, no, Jonathan turned back into his normal self.
Yeah, because pretty much it turned out, thanks to that little glitch, the clock stopped working, and then everything just turned back to normal. And then, Uncle Jonathan, would you mind about informing me my pants, please? Huh? Oh, sure. Thank you. Hey, promise me you won't tell the old hag about this, okay? I won't hear the end of it.
He won't even tell a soul.
Not even a dead. Yep, but except by the time 15 months or two happened to got back up again. Oh, and by the way, the uncle was in fact fully closed. Thank goodness. And by the time, and by the time, and by the time, and then they happened to get back on top, the witch managed to turn the snake back into the happened to made pretty much the snake happened to go back to normal size again, and then the freedom became a family. And pretty much, I'm not saying like the uncle and the witch happened to got hit. It, 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 it's just the three happen to agree to just be living with each other now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, pretty much.
Then we go back to the school.
And oh boy, was it crazy. Especially since they then pretty much the two captains of each of pretty much the dodgeball team, and then they didn't want to pick him for anything, but then that's when he pulled a little magic.
What?
Yep, pretty much hit both captains. Boom, boom, sing on that. No rim, baby.
Show off.
And then that's when it said, it was lucky shot. But then the next thing you know, all the team saying, he's on our team. Oh, no, he's on our team. No, mine. No, mine. No, ours. You son of no, ours. But then that's when pretty much the kid happened to notice a girl sitting right at the bottom seat, and then happened to sat down next to her, and guess what? It turned out the young lass actually happened to be pretty good at drawing some bugs. And she even complimented and saying that our main character kind of reminded her of a bug because of his goggles, which happened to be the highest compliment to her. And then pretty much it was the end of the day, and then the next thing you know, the uncle and the witch came by, and then afterwards happened to pick him up and let's motor, baby. You got it. Hang on. Oh, come on, walk away. Ah, there we go. And then that's when they went back to the house, and then that's when pretty much the stained glass window happened to show all three of them alive and well and living a good life. But except the funniest thing happened at the end. When the cat released it on the uncle's head. Bad kitty, use the litter box!
He pooed on him.
Even though pretty much it wasn't much of a poo, it was just in leaves and sticks.
And pretty much dirt.
Yeah, pretty much. But I guess it does count.
So that was the movie The House Clock in the Wall we just seen.
Yep, pretty much. And sorry about the mix-up because I don't remember exact order, but I think that's pretty close.
It was close enough. So, what did you think of the house and clock in the wall?
Well, I say it wasn't that bad, especially for those who love magic and comedy.
And it had some good goosebumps bits.
Yeah. Just a little bit here and there.
And what would you rate it?
Eh, I give it a pretty good 8. I mean, yes, so pretty much it was a good movie, but I think they sort of worked a little bit more upon the matter a little bit. Like maybe having to the suit of armor evil or something like that. I mean, come on. If you're going to make the mansion evil, go the whole 9 yards. And not just the pumpkins and a giant lion/eagle made out of leaves. Go the whole 9 yards. Bring the armor to life evil, for heaven's sake.
And I'll give it an 8 out of 9. I liked it as well. It had some good bits. It was funny. Jack Black played the uncle.
And he's always a dang good actor.
Yep.
Indeed. Yep.
And prepare for the next review. But that won't be until Halloween.
Or close enough to it, my friends. I hope you are prepared for some goosebumps, because you're going to get a double dose of that.
Because you're about to be in for a scare.
And I hope you don't mind some slapstick.
And there was one little bit I liked about the house and the clock in the wall.
What's that?
Pretty much when he had this little pet, I think it was like an octopus or a squid. He said, "What is?" Lewis said, "What is that?" Long if it's fed.
I think that was the snake. It was because of him of the spell having a backbone on that snake and turned into that thing.
So yeah, all in all, we saw the movie, we liked it. And this is CARTOONZ signing out. See everybody on Halloween.
And do believe this, magic can be anything. And I hope I'll see you all again.
Comment, subscribe, and hit that like button. This is CARTOONZ sign out. See my edgelords in the next one.